Good morning, dear students. In today's lecture, we will discuss the concepts of ideal and real gases. We will go through the various differences between ideal and real gases. What are the various deviations observed in case of real gases? So, defining ideal and real gases first. A gas which obeys Boyle's law, Charles' law, etc. under all conditions of temperature and pressure is known as an ideal gas or a perfect gas. In other way, we can define it as a gas which obeys the gas equation, which we generally call ideal gas equation, under all conditions of temperature and pressure will be known as an ideal gas. Now, the concept of an ideal gas is only hypothetical. In real life, we are not having any ideal gas. We can have the gases which are having behavior near to the ideal gas, but there is no ideal gas here. In actual, the gases are found to obey gas laws only if the pressure is low and temperature is high. Under these conditions, the behavior of real gases is similar to the ideal gases. So the gases which do not obey the gas laws and gas equation at all temperature and pressure will be known as real gases or non-ideal gases. A real gas is the one which obeys gas laws under the conditions of low pressure and high temperature. Under these conditions, intermolecular forces of attraction among the molecules are weak and the gas behave near to the ideal behavior. So these are the various differences among ideal and real gases. First of all, as we have already defined these two gases, in case of ideal gas, it obeys gas laws and ideal gas equation at all temperature and pressure, whereas in case of non-ideal gas, it obeys the gas laws only under low pressure or high temperature. Now, second one is ideal gases will obey ideal gas equation, whereas non-ideal gases or real gases will obey van der Waals equation. Third difference is the concept of ideal gas is hypothetical, whereas in case of non-ideal gases, all gases exist, they are known as real gases. So this concept is totally hypothetical, and in actual the gases exist are the real gases. Now gases like hydrogen, nitrogen and oxygen, which are less compressible, which do not liquefy easily, they show nearly ideal behavior. Whereas easily liquefiable gases like carbon dioxide, sulfur dioxide, ammonia, which are easily compressible, they show large deviation from ideal behavior, so they will come under the category of non-ideal gas. These hydrogen, nitrogen and oxygen, they are showing nearly ideal behavior. In actual, these are non-ideal gases, but they are showing nearly ideal behavior. The intermolecular forces of attraction will be negligible in case of ideal gas, whereas intermolecular forces of attraction will be appreciable in case of non-ideal gases. Next one is the volume occupied by the gas molecules will be negligible as compared to the total volume of the gas in case of an ideal gas, whereas we can't neglect the volume of gas molecules in comparison to the total volume of the gas in case of non-ideal gases. Especially under the condition of low temperature and high pressure, these conditions can't be followed. So these are the various differences among ideal and non-ideal gases. Now first one is what type of deviations we are getting in case of non-ideal gases. So we are going through the deviations from Boyle's law. So according to Boyle's law, we very well know the product of pressure and volume is constant at constant temperature. This means PV will be constant at all pressures if we keep the temperature constant. So if we will plot this PV versus pressure, we should get a horizontal line parallel to the abscissa at constant temperature T. As PV is constant at constant temperature T, so variating this PV against pressure P, we must have a line parallel to the abscissa. A horizontal line should be there which is parallel to the abscissa if we are plotting PV versus P at constant temperature T according to this equation. But in actual practice, no gas gives a straight line plot. The reason being, actual practice, we are having real gases which show deviation from the ideal behavior. So in case of real gases, we will get two type of curves. For gases like hydrogen and helium, which are showing nearly ideal behavior, PV will continuously increase with increase of pressure. Whereas for gases like carbon dioxide, carbon monoxide, CH4, PV will first decrease with increase of pressure, it will passes to a minimum and then it will begin to increase. This we will see in next slide what type of curve we are getting here. So these are the curves for various gases. For hydrogen, helium like gases, we will have PV against P. We are getting the lines which are continuously giving a positive slope with increase in pressure. Whereas in case of the gases which are highly compressible, PV is first decreasing with increase in pressure, passing through minima, and then it is increasing with the pressure. These all curves have been taken at temperature of 273 Kelvin. Now the effect of temperature and pressure on behavior of gas we can study in terms of compressibility factor, where compressibility factor is defined as the ratio of PV to nRT. So what we can see from here, if we are keeping temperature constant, we will have the plot of PV versus P will be similar to Z versus P. Now, in case of an ideal gas, PV is equal to nRT, so we will have Z equal to 1 at all temperature and pressure. So, the value of Z will be equal to 1 at all temperature and pressure for an ideal gas. In case of real gases, Z will not be equal to 1. It may be either less than 1 or it may be greater than 1, depending upon the nature of gas. The extent of deviation from this Z equal to 1 will be a measure of non-ideality of the gas. For real gases, it will vary with temperature and pressure. We will study in detail in the next slides. So first one is the effect of pressure on compressibility factor. We are having compressibility factor Z along the y-axis and pressure along the x-axis. So as we will variate the pressure, what will be the effect on compressibility factor? So we can see from the figure the plot of Z versus P keeping temperature at 273 Kelvin are similar to those of PV versus P. The reason being, Z is equal to PV by nRT. So keeping temperature constant, Z will behave like PV. So if we are plotting PV versus P, we are getting similar type of curve as in case of Z versus P. So both of these curves will show similar type of trends. Now from figure we can see the variation of Z with pressure for hydrogen, helium, carbon dioxide, carbon monoxide, methane at a constant temperature T. So what we are observing from this figure, at very low pressure, the Z is approximately equal to 1. Student, please note that here the value is 1.0 not 0.1. It has been misprinted here. So corresponding to Z equal to 1, you can see we are getting a straight line for an ideal gas which has been denoted by a dotted line here. which is parallel to the abscissa. But in case of real gases, we are not getting the straight line parallel to abscissa. We are getting different type of curves here. Now moving to very low pressure. At very low pressure, you are seeing each curve is near to the line Z equal to 1. So real gases are showing nearly ideal behavior when pressure is very low. Now at very high pressure, what we are observing, at high pressures, Z is greater than 1 for all the gases. For all the gases, we are having curve above this horizontal line. So at very high pressure, the Z is greater than 1. It means real gases deviate from the ideal behavior. Now, for gases like methane, carbon dioxide, carbon monoxide, Z first decreases, passes through a minimum, and then it increases on further increasing pressure. Larger the dip in the curve, more compressible will be the gas. What we are observing from here, larger the dip in the curve, more compressible will be the gas, so it will be easily liquefiable. So we can say CH4, CO2 and CO, methane, carbon dioxide and carbon monoxide, they can be easily liquefied, whereas hydrogen and helium, which are showing positive deviations from the ideal behavior, they can't be easily liquefied. Now next one is effect of temperature on compressibility factor. In last slide we have gone through the effect of pressure on Z at constant temperature T. This was variation of Z along with P at constant temperature T. Now in this case, we are plotting compressibility factor against P at different constant temperature for a particular gas. So we are also observing the effect of temperature on compressibility factor here. Now the plots of compressibility factor versus pressure. At different constant temperature for nitrogen gas we have shown in this figure. So as the temperature increases, what is happening? The minimum in the curve is shifting upward and near to the y-axis. This minima in the curve is shifting upward and near to the y-axis, vertical axis. Ultimately, a temperature is reached at which the value of Z is remaining close to 1 over an appreciable range of pressure. For example, in this case, at 50 degrees Celsius, for nitrogen gas at 50 degrees Celsius, the value of Z is remaining close to 1 up to nearly 100 atmosphere pressure. In the low pressure range, it is nearly close to 1. As we are increasing temperature, the minimum in the curve is shifting upward and towards the left side, towards the vertical axis, and ultimately at a particular temperature, we are having the value of Z remaining close to 1 over an appreciable range of pressure. Now the temperature at which this real gas is behaving like an ideal gas over an appreciable range of pressure is known as Boyle's temperature, or you can say Boyle point, because at this point the Boyle's law is obeyed over a large range of pressure. So the temperature at which a real gas is behaving like an ideal gas over an appreciable pressure range is known as Boyle's temperature or Boyle point. The reason being, at this temperature gas is behaving like ideally, it is following Boyle's law over a range of pressure. Above the Boyle temperature, a gas shows positive deviations only. We can see from the figure above this Boyle's temperature, we are having positive deviations only from the ideal behavior. Now, next is the deviation from Charles Gay-Lussac's law. Till now we have studied the deviation from Boyle's law. Next one is deviation from Charles Gay-Lussac's law. We very well know, according to Charles Gay-Lussac's law, the coefficient of volume expansion of every gas should be same, which is 1 by 273 parts of its volume at 0 degrees Celsius, and it is independent of pressure. But what we have found experimentally for most of the gases which are behaving in a real manner, it has been found true only at low pressure. At high pressure, there are appreciable deviation from this law. And what you will observe for the easily liquefiable gases, the deviations observed are more. So this is the deviation which we obtain in case of Charles Gay-Lussac's law, in case of real gases. Next one is the deviations from Avogadro's law. We very well know, according to Avogadro's law, 1 mole of every gas at STP should occupy a volume equal to 22.4 liter independent of nature of the gas. But experimentally it has been observed that this value is not followed strictly. There are some variations, and more variations are observed in easily liquefiable gases. As we can see in this table, for the gases which are having less deviation from the ideal behavior like hydrogen, nitrogen, oxygen, we are not having too much variation, whereas in case of easily liquefiable gases like carbon dioxide, ammonia, methyl chloride, we are having more deviation as compared to the less compressible gases. Next one is the cause of deviations from ideal behavior. We will go through in next class.